Hey, welcome everybody. It's Thursday. Wow, this week is flying by. I'm Ted Pedromo, and this is Matt Glogly, and we are doing how to sell without selling. And this is our fourth webinar. Matt, do you want to recap what we've gone through Monday through Wednesday?
You bet. And so on our first webinar on Monday, we talked about the business growth strategies of Starbucks and how any entrepreneur can use those. And what that is that just really comes down to understanding your values and then making sure that those values line up with the type of clients that you want. Very, very important that you do that. Very important that you're very clear about who you are so that you are selling from a place of authenticity. I find so many times that people wind up selling based on somebody else's personality, and they wind up being an echo, not a voice in the wilderness. The next thing that we did was on Tuesday, we talked about breaking down the barriers, and the main concept is nobody negotiates with the doctor. If you were to go in for quadruple bypass surgery, you wouldn't negotiate price, and you certainly wouldn't be going to the doctor and saying, can we do just one and see what happens? No, you're gonna get all four done. You've got a major issue. Or as we sometimes like to say, Ted, the bleeding neck, right? You'll do anything to fix the bleeding neck. And then yesterday we talked about how to sell without selling. And, you want to go back and listen to this because it's got some pretty spicy content. But again, my background is for the last 5 years, I owned 3 erectile dysfunction clinics. And the basic concept that we talked about this is, your product, your service is this right here. This is the football, okay? And you're the Heisman, like the Heisman trophy, right? Here's the football, what you do, and you've got to be giving your clients, your prospects, the stiff arm. You've got to make them go for that football. So what can you do? What can you give them in order for them to actually see that your stuff is for real? And we dove into that specifically, and I talk about a specific example about how we would do that in the ED clinics, and I highly recommend that you go check that out. Because I think that was some pretty good content. So that's what we've covered over the last 3 days. And today what we're going to do is, this is going to be how to sell without selling, a key advanced strategy, one that I've used for years. We're going to talk specifically about what we like to call the Dan Sullivan question. And we're going to talk about that and why it is so powerful. And there is no need to rename it or come up with our own because this one is so stinking good. So we're going to dive into that today, Ted.
Awesome. It was funny you do the Heisman thing.
Yep.
A couple of years ago, I spoke at a conference and Johnny Rogers, the Heisman Trophy winner, was there.
Really?
And whenever you take a picture with him, he makes you stand in the Heisman pose next to him.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And by the way, as you can see, folks, I love Ted. You got to have something on the wall back there. So I decided to put that up. I mean, don't read into that, folks. We're both.
I have my mysterious shade behind me.
Yeah.
What's behind the curtain?
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So yeah.
The one thing I kind of with selling, people have this thing as selling as the used car salesman stigma. Mm-hmm. That if you try to sell something, they're gonna think you're a used car salesman trying to take advantage of them, and it's not like that at all.
No, that's why it's so important that you come from a place of your values. I mean, I'm not a used car. Well, I have sold used cars, but that's a whole nother story. Not like in the traditional way. I've sold my own cars. But even that stigma is going away now. I've told this story before. If you've never gone and experienced what it's like to buy a Mercedes or to buy a Lexus or to buy a Maserati, I highly recommend that you do it. And the reason why is there's no negotiating. Here's the price of the Mercedes. Here's the price of the Lexus. Here's the price of the Maserati. That's it. And I learned this one time because I went out and bought an Acura. This was, 8-10 years ago, a TL. And the guy goes, we sell it 2 ways, with nav or without. With nav is $36,500. Without nav is $32,500. I can take $1,500 off the nav and I can get it to you for X price. What color do you want it in? And I go, okay. I mean, literally, that was it. Yeah. So you got to create, it's got to dial in with how you're wired and how you're created. But in this next thing that we're going to talk about, which I think is one of the most powerful questions, and when I first read it, the Dan Sullivan question, and I do recommend that you go out and get the book. It's a PDF. It's a couple of bucks. It's very inexpensive. Even if it's $12, it'll make you millions. But he has this question, okay? And he talks about, one of the keys when you're to sell without selling, one of the keys is to ask questions and shut the hell up, right? It's not about trial closes and neuro-linguistic programming and all of that. Although there is some of this in there, this question that I'm going to ask, but it's really from a place of authenticity. And here's what the question is. And the question goes, so when I'm doing, I have a process that I take people through in order for them to get on the phone with me. And I do one-on-one consults for me to sell. I have a consulting and agency business now that we go in and we double the revenues of practices within 90 days. Medical practices, just direct pay medical practices. So when we ask this question, what we do is that, we're setting this up, right? And so, they start talking about all their pain and they're trying social media and all this crap. So I asked this very simple question. And I want you to understand, I look for my clients to sign 3-year agreements with me, okay? And the reason why I tell them I want them to sign 3-year agreements with me is because I'm interested in a long-term relationship. I am not interested in a one-night stand, okay? And what that does is that changes the framework, right? Like it completely changes their thinking. I want people that are going to think long-term, not like, I got to fix this in the next 2 weeks. Okay, and the question is this. If we were having this discussion 3 years from today, and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? Okay, and I want you to listen to this. Listen how powerful this is. If we were having this discussion 3 years from today, and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress, okay? And then when you ask that question, in the immortal words of one of my mentors, you shut that HE double hockey sticks up, okay? And even when there's that long, painful silence of like 30 seconds that feels like it's 30 years, you don't say a darn thing. And you'll hear him go,
Mm-hmm. Awkward silence.
Right. And then they'll start saying, well, I've never been to Europe, or my kids are going to college, or, I want to, whatever, right? And you just let them talk. And then when they get done, here's the leverage question. You ask them, what else can you share with me? And when you do that, what you're doing is you're creating this environment. Well, one, they're talking to you. So as Dale Carnegie likes to say, if you want people to like you, ask them questions, listen to them, okay? Right. And that's one of the simplest ways to win friends and influence people is ask other people questions. Never talk about yourself, ask other people questions. And what happens is they just start to believe you and trust you. And it's just a very powerful, powerful way to go ahead and just get people dialed in. And this other part of it is if we were having this discussion 3 years from today, I'm setting it up that they want to work with me for the next 3 years. And I tell people I'm looking for lifetime clients. We have a lot of systems and matrices and funnels and things like that and pyramids and stuff that we take ladders to success that we take people through. But the key is if we were having this discussion 3 years from today and we were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? We want to get the prospect out of worrying about today, worrying about, well, I had this guy who did social media and he was out of Bangladesh and he didn't do a good job. And, I want them thinking long-term strategically, because if I can get a prospect thinking long-term strategically, I can transform their business.
Right. You get them working on their business instead of in their business by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very, very, very powerful. So look, I wish the question was more complex than that, right, Ted?
Well, I have a confession to make.
Okay, fire away.
I like to watch webinars just to see how people sell things. So last night I was watching this webinar and this guy's talking about how he started all these online businesses, blah, blah, blah. Went on for a half hour talking about all his success.
Hate that. Shut the heck up.
And then he gets into what he's teaching. So he teaches how he's making money with stock options. So he went on for like 45 minutes to an hour showing his system on how he's making money and how simple it is. You know, he's showing charts, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then he comes to the end, and we all know how this works. They start stacking on the value. Like, you get this retail value, $9,997. And he just stacked on things, and it was like $20,000 worth of stuff.
That's such BS.
And then, but he did the Dan Sullivan thing. He just asked the question of, okay, I'm not going to charge you $19,997 for all this, but what's it worth to you if you could make an extra $10,000 or $20,000 a month? How would that affect your life? And then he just shut up. Mm-hmm. And he was like, used all these techniques, and the Dan Sullivan question was one of them.
Yeah, and so this is, it's a great question. I'm actually typing it in because people are asking what it is. So
yeah.
So while I'm typing it in, I'm going to send it out here in a second. So
the key is to shut up at the end of when you ask that question too, which is hard to do.
Yeah. So here's what I want everybody to do. So I'm going to send this out, and just bear with me here for 1 second, because, you know, multitasking. And by the way, don't tell me that I missed a comma. Okay. Okay. No, I just sent it out because I missed a comma. The comma police are out. You've missed a comma. You know, I can proofread everything. What I want you to do is I want you to type back to us the answer to that. Now, don't make it War and Peace, right? But I really want you to think about that. And I want you to ask and I'm going to ask this question again to you. So I'm asking it to you, those of you that are online watching us or watching the recording of this. And we're talking about your business. You're obviously on this call because you want something better, right? You know, I'm always buying books. I'm always reading. I'm always looking for that slight edge. We're always looking for, and in this fast-paced world today, you know, boy, oh boy, you got to be, you know, I was kind of out of some of this stuff for the last 5 years, and I've had to dive back in with a fire hose to really kind of get caught up, because what I used to think doesn't work anymore. Things change very, very fast. Yeah. So, you know, ask yourself this question: where are you right now? Right? Think about the pain that you're experiencing. Okay. There's a gap. There's a hole of what you want in your life. Right. And I want you to. So you and I are sitting down. We're having a bourbon or a cup of coffee, depending on the time of day. And I'm going to ask you this question. If we were having this discussion 3 years from today, and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? And somebody said, never bourbon, maybe vodka. Okay. You can have vodka, I'll have bourbon. But, you know, most people they're so stuck, Ted, on that short term, right? I got to make money tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Really, that's why they always have that problem of, I got to make money tomorrow. I got to make X by next week. Because they never set their systems up. They never set their business up to be able to think that long term. Okay. And, you know, if I were having this conversation with Dan Sullivan, I can tell you what I would say to him. So what would have to happen both personally and professionally for you to feel happy with your progress? Well, you know, I haven't made it any secret, you know, I'm divorcing right now after 25 years of marriage. So don't worry, folks, we've kept the attorneys out of it. But, you know, I'd like to find somebody again, right? I'm 50 years old. I want to find somebody again. You know, I'm renting right now. I want to have a house. Doesn't need to be a huge house. I'd like to have a house or a townhouse, frankly, where my country club is, right on the golf course. There's some of them right there. I'd like to live there. You know, my son will be done with, my middle son will be done with college, or my middle child will be done with college, my oldest son. I want to make sure I've got all that paid for. And from a professional standpoint, you know, I want to have a very successful agency and consulting business that's in the medical field, that's generating, you know, about $5 million a year. There's high profit margins in consulting and agency business. You know, working with direct pay medical practices for them to grow. And so, you know, you think about all this, because I just sold my interest in my other practices. And you think about all this, and, you know, it starts to change your thinking about what you're going to do today. What skills? You start to think, what skills do I need to improve in order for that to happen? We see here, one of them moved to a warmer climate. My income would be allowed for putting $250K a year aside for retirement. More leisure time without pressure to build my business, since it will be generating income easily, right? So, you know, these questions, and then you have to start asking yourself, okay, well, you know, what skill sets do I need to improve in order for that to do that? And I will tell you right now that, you know, until you really get to a critical mass of doing like 50 to 100K a month, the only thing that really matters is for you to generate revenue. You got to get leads, you got to convert them. It doesn't matter how if you have an S Corp, a C, well, you don't have a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, you know, doesn't really care, you know, are you doing cash accounting, accrual? None of that matters, right? Just go make the money, right? Go make the mess. And so, so adding passive income streams from one of the other folks, okay? You know, and you want to tie that in. So, you know, like we said, you're probably on this call because you know that you need help with your ability to go ahead and close some of these leads. Most people have never really been taught the right way to sell. And I've been selling for I've been selling since I was like 15 years old. I didn't even realize it. With my first business working at the country club, and I had a car wash business. Members would pull up, and we figured out that while they were playing golf, we could wash and wax their cars and make an additional 20, 25 bucks. It was great. So, you know, over these years, and I've sold in 30 niches. I've sold from the stage. I've sold in webinars. I've sold in teleseminars. I've sold in front of the patient. I've sold, you know, I've sold in print. I mean, you can consultation selling. I've sold just about every way you can think of. Ted will tell you. So what Ted and I are going to do is we're actually going to create a class. Now, we're going to be really straightforward about this. Look, folks, you know, we have something that we think we can help you with. We're going to give you a couple of different options that you can do with it. So next week, I believe on Monday, right, Ted, we're going to start how to sell without selling and how to turn your social media fans into paying clients and how this is going to work very simply. And Ted, I don't know, Ted, do you want to give me control so I can put this up so they can see this, this
Here,
page?
I can put it up.
Yeah,
I got it right there.
Why don't you go ahead and put it up? That's awesome. Okay. All right, so there's going to be a basic module, an advanced module, and a platinum module. And what I want to do is I'm actually going to walk you through the platinum module first. The platinum module is let me just start from the actually, let me start with the basic. The basic is $297. What we're going to do is once a week, we're going to get on Zoom right here for an hour. We're going to go through 4 different modules. There'll be some homework that you do each and every single time. In module 1, who do you want as a client and what do you want out of your life? That's going to tie into that question about the 3 years. The second module is going to be breaking down the barriers and softening the beachhead. We're going to go deeper into the whole concept of you never argue with the doctor. And then we're going to do 2 segments on how to sell without selling, because really, again, I'm not one of these guys that likes to give you all these trial closes. It's just not how it works. So I'm going to show you really how I've been able to sell without selling. And folks, we would do, and this, I trained my patient counselors at my clinics, and I had 3 clinics in 3 cities. I had 40 plus employees. We were doing $2.4 million per clinic, dropping 15 points to the bottom line. So I systematized our whole process to selling, and I had 3 patient counselors, 2 to 3 patient counselors at every facility, plus a manager. So we were seeing 10 to 12 new patients a day. And so I'm going to show you how we do the sell without selling. We'll walk you through scripts. The key to having a script, if you do not have a script, you have a script and your script probably stinks. We'll do weekly Q&A calls, and there'll be a private Facebook group. So that's basic is $297. Advanced is intensive. There's 4 modules plus bonuses. You're going to get everything in basic, plus Ted will personally optimize your LinkedIn page. You'll get Ted's personal library of LinkedIn messages. I use those. Those are pretty darn good. And what I'm going to do is I'll personally review your sales script and checklist. So I actually have a checklist. And again, I've done this not only for my business when I have 40 employees, but I've done it for other clinics. I've done it for other businesses. I've helped do it for guys like Perry Marshall. I've done it for Transamerica. I've done it for Gore Financial. Prior to owning the clinics, I worked in a bunch of different niches, going in and growing their businesses 35% in a year and guaranteeing it. And so I'll write your sales script, intake scale script. I'll help you go through all of that. And then you want to have a checklist. So I have a checklist every single time I do a call with somebody, because guess what? Every time I miss something, I miss the sale. And then we're going to give you 3 months complimentary access to Ted's weekly business accelerator action group, which is a $297 value. Excuse me. You will get that included as well. And then the final one is platinum. So it's everything that you've just heard about. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a bonus module on how to get referrals. That's one of the best ways to grow your business, fastest ways to grow your business. We'll do a bonus module on how to scale your business and team. I did this. We started with 0 practices, and in 18 months, I had 3 in 3 different cities. We'll do a bonus module on how to overcome objections. And really, quite frankly, objections then just become part of that script. But we're going to build that in so that you're handling and hitting all those objections. Record your first 2 consults, and we'll review those, and we will coach you on those. I promise you that that will be fun. And then I'll do a one-on-one call for role playing with you. So I'll actually be your prospect, and I'll get on the phone with you. You know, you won't be able to call me like, hey, can we do this right now? You know, got to schedule it. Schedule about a week out in advance. You know, all of this stuff will be scheduled. So that's going to be $997. So really, you know, choice is yours. It really comes down to how did you answer that question, the Dan Sullivan question. And, you know, again, I've been doing this. I'm 50 years old. I've been selling since I was 16 years old. I've been doing trainings for, God, geez Louise. I mean, I started my first training company like this in 2004. I coached 3,000 real estate investors nationwide on a lot of these things. How do you scripts for intake calls? What do you say when you're in front of a seller who's losing their home to foreclosure? All of that. I've been in Dan Kennedy's Platinum Private Client Group for a number of years. Ted and I met via Perry Marshall. I did this for Perry. I helped take Perry's. When I started doing work for Perry Marshall, who's the author of the Google AdWords, the Ultimate Guide to Google AdWords, Perry's highest end product was maybe, I think, $4,500. By the time I got done working with him in 18 months, we were $250,000, and we even sold one. So
it cost me a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I did. It was worth it.
Definitely worth it.
It's definitely worth it. So, you know, we took his private client, you know, he didn't even have a private client group, and it was 100,000, and we started selling those, a couple of those a year. So again, it's all through this. Now,
I have a couple of things to add.
Yep.
The whole LinkedIn, what we've been doing, I've been working with a small group for about 6 to 8 months now. Mm-hmm. We've been just optimizing our profile and building our networks, and we've been testing LinkedIn messages, and we're getting amazing results. And Alex Mondosian hired me to fill a Jack Canfield event with him by LinkedIn messages. They're running ads everywhere, but we started sending messages. Mm-hmm. And we got about a dozen people to sign up with just a couple messages for the VIP session.
That's awesome.
And now I'm promoting a blockchain event, literally with LinkedIn messages. And they haven't shut me down yet, which is pretty amazing. But the LinkedIn messaging is a great way to engage people. Mm-hmm. Then you move them through your process to get them on the phone. And then this course is going to help you close those people.
Yep. So, you know, you'll have Ted's skill set of engaging them, and you're going to have my skill set, quite frankly, of how to sell them. And, you know, I will say this, the only limit that you have to charging double what you're charging right now is you. And, you know, I've worked with clients. I mean, you know, it's a pretty long list. And it really just is going to come down to you've got to have a script. You have to have a script and a checklist that you're taking people through. And once you start to see the confidence that works, then the sky is the limit. And again, this isn't theory, folks. I mean, I've done it. You know, I've not only have done it for other people, but I've done it in my own business. I mean, when you're training, and I've trained, you know, these salespeople, the patient counselors we had in the clinics, I trained them virtually. I created videos and all of that, and I trained them and I systematized it because, you know, for you to have that automated business later on down the line, guess what? You can't be doing all of this. So you've got to be creating these systems. You've got to be creating these scripts so that then, you know, I've had my nephew, who's a baseball announcer, file the scripts and book consults for me part-time. I mean, you know, yeah, he's got a great voice, right? Because he's a baseball announcer and a basketball announcer. But again, he was doing that part-time. And so you want to create these systems, and it's going to come down to your scripts. It's going to come down to your checklist, because when I have scripts and checklists, I was able to teach anybody at our clinics in a medical practice how to do everything even down to the procedures. Not that they would do the procedures and only the doctors could, but we had checklists for everything. And you need to build those, and you need to create those in your business as well. And we're going to start just with the sales script and the checklist, and then you'll see how we do it, and you can go and create more of that for yourself. So the site, Ted, is right. It's dmclassroom.com/SWS. That is sell without selling. dmclassroom.com/SWS. I think Ted's going to send it out in a chat for everybody.
Yeah, it's in the chat. I'll put it on the Facebook.
And you want to sign this up. We are going to be starting next Monday. And again, if you miss it, we'll have recordings of it, no problem. And I believe we're doing it at like 1 o'clock Eastern time. I can't remember the time.
Yeah, it'll be 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It'll be live on Mondays, and then we'll have a Q&A call. So we're going to actually be teaching on Monday. Then you get a week to implement it on Fridays. You get a Q&A call to ask us questions.
Yep. Fantastic.
Then we have a question, how many months do the packages cover? The course is 4 weeks, and then we have the bonus modules, which are each a weekly call or a video. And then you get 3 months access to my weekly action group, which is on Thursdays, just as a bonus where you can work with that team where we're focusing on getting traffic from LinkedIn and getting them into the sales calls.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, would this work for, I think you're asking this question, Bill, would this work for a solo dentist in Salinas? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it? Because, you can, while you're probably not generating a big ton of clients from LinkedIn, maybe you are, but also generating them from any social media, from Facebook. So how do you engage them with the messaging? And then what are those conversations that you're going to be having? What are those scripts? So, that could be face-to-face, knee-to-knee. And again, owning 3 practices, I understand there's a little bit different dynamic when you're face-to-face, but the principles are the same. We used to ask this question, by the way, in the ED clinics. We wouldn't ask them in 3 years, but we would ask them we would ask them 3 months from now. And they all answered it the same. I mean, we knew how they were going to answer it. I want to be able to make love to my wife again, or I want to make love to my girlfriend again, or what, I want to be able to have sex again. And I want to be able to last, and I want to be able to satisfy her. And the questions were the same, but we still asked the question because it got them engaged, thinking about themselves, and we never wanted to assume that we knew the answer. So check it out, dmclassroom.com/SWS. I don't have a but wait, there's more line. I'm supposed to have a but wait, there's more line, right?
Right.
Hopefully you see the value of this, and you see what Ted does, and you see what I do, and we'd love to work with you without a doubt. So, what other questions do we have out there, Ted? Anything else coming in?
Let's see. Don't see any other ones.
Okay.
Nope.
Again, dmclassroom.com/SWS. Ted just sent that out via a chat. But check it out, sign up, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Okay, thanks everybody. You can catch us online. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. If you have any questions.
All right. See everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.